Sarah had always considered herself strong, or at least she had to be. As a single mother, she faced life's challenges with unwavering resolve, raising her son, Danny, with all the love she could muster. But now, her world was fractured beyond repair. Danny was gone, taken from her in a tragic accident that she never spoke of, not even to herself. The days that followed his death were a blur of emptiness. Sarah's once lively home was now cold, suffocating in its silence. Every corner of the house reminded her of Danny, his laughter echoing through the hallways, his toys scattered in the living room, now gathering dust. The pain was unbearable, yet she refused to let herself feel it fully. Instead, she directed her anger at her ex-husband, Michael. She blamed him for everything. If only he had been there, if only he had cared, Danny would still be alive. Her resentment festered, growing darker with each passing day. Sarah was relentless in her pursuit of justice, or what she believed to be justice. She told the police that Michael was responsible, that his negligence had led to their son's death. Her words were venomous, dripping with the bitterness of her grief. And eventually, Michael was jailed, his protests of innocence drowned out by Sarah's fury. But even after Michael was locked away, the emptiness remained. It was as if a shadow had settled over the house, following Sarah wherever she went. At first, it was subtle lights flickering for no reason. The temperature in Danny's room always colder than the rest of the house. Sarah tried to ignore it, convincing herself that it was just her imagination, a trick of the mind brought on by her overwhelming grief. Yet as the days turned into weeks, the signs became harder to dismiss. She would hear soft footsteps in the hallway at night, the faint sound of Danny's voice calling out to her. Sometimes she would find his toys moved to different places, as if someone had been playing with them. She told herself it was just her mind playing tricks, a manifestation of her longing for her son. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. The more she tried to dismiss the strange occurrences, the more persistent they became. She began to feel a presence, something unseen but undeniably there, watching her, following her every move. The air in the house grew heavy, oppressive, and Sarah's once steely resolve started to crumble. She barely slept, her nights filled with the haunting sounds of her son's laughter, now twisted and hollow. Sarah's paranoia grew. She started seeing Danny's reflection in mirrors, his eyes filled with sorrow and something darker blame. It became impossible to escape the feeling that Danny was still with her, but not in the way she had hoped. It was as if his soul was unrested, trapped in the house, in her memories, in the guilt that gnawed at her from the inside. The breaking point came one stormy night. The house was plunged into darkness as the power went out, leaving Sarah alone in the silence, save for the relentless pounding of rain against the windows. She could feel him there, standing just out of sight, his presence a suffocating weight on her chest. And then she heard it, a whisper, so soft it was almost lost in the sound of the storm. "Why, Mom, why did you do it?" Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Her mind raced, trying to comprehend what she had just heard. But before she could react, the whisper came again, this time more insistent, more accusing. "Why did you kill me?" The truth hit her like a tidal wave. Memories she had buried deep within herself crashing to the surface. That day, the day Danny died, it wasn't an accident. In a moment of blind rage, overwhelmed by her struggles, Sarah had done the unthinkable. She had lashed out, pushing Danny harder than she intended. He had fallen, his small body striking the edge of the coffee table. The blood, the stillness. She had panicked, covering up her crime with lies and deceit, casting the blame on Michael, who had only ever wanted to protect their son. Tears streamed down Sarah's face as the horrifying reality settled in. She had killed her own child, and now Danny's spirit was here, seeking the justice she had denied him. The shadows in the room seemed to grow darker, closing in around her. Sarah's breath came in short, panicked gasps. She tried to speak, to beg for forgiveness, but the words caught in her throat, choked by her guilt. Suddenly, the room grew colder, and the sound of Danny's voice filled the air, no longer a whisper, but a terrifying, echoing cry. "Mommy, you hurt me!" Sarah screamed, clutching her head, trying to block out the sound. but it was relentless, piercing through her like a dagger. The walls of the room seemed to close in on her, and she could feel Danny's presence growing stronger, more vengeful. In her final moments, Sarah realized the truth. There was no escaping what she had done. Her son's spirit would never rest, and neither would she. The last thing she saw was Danny's figure materializing in front of her, his small hand reaching out, cold and unforgiving. And then the darkness consumed her.